sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You found us. Thanks for joining us here today. 585-866-4326 is our phone number. I am in a great mood today. We've got a great show. The sun is out. There are so many things that we can talk about here today. As you can listen in on 95.7 FM, AM 950. We are also streaming live on YouTube and Twitch. Special hello to our viewers there. You can leave a comment if you like. You can hit us up on X. Our handle is WGR Rochester, and always free in the Odyssey app. And if 1 to 3 doesn't fit your schedule, or you're on your lunch right now and you miss one of these interviews, just download the app if you haven't done so already, and you can listen back on demand. We are your 10-hour-a-week Rochester podcast when it comes to sports. That's what I tell people. As always, joining us, Terrible Take Tim Schneider, the pride of Fairport, joining us in his Guardians hat. We will have Tim's Terrible Take of the day, although your takes haven't been that bad recently. So I'm a little concerned that the bid is going to be ruined. Maybe that's your plan all along, that if these takes are going to be like, I hadn't thought of that angle.
If I take good takes, maybe I don't have to hear the great song. So we'll work on it. But I'll see what I can do today.
Listen, you are more than welcome in this day and age of AI, or if you're a real musician, to submit anything you like. It doesn't mean it's going to get on, but if you have something creative, like Brian from Avon submitted, and our guy in Fairport, Dan, who you'll hear the new show open, that'll be in hour number 2. I'm always looking for creative ideas when it comes to that stuff. But for now, that sticks.
Lucky me.
2 o'clock hour today, as he does every Wednesday, our betting expert, PJ Glasser. Now, we've moved on from college basketball, and it is the time of year where one Jim Nance used to go from college basketball over to the Masters. He has stepped aside, of course, from basketball, but I think it's silly that I will retire in the year 2034 or whatever it is. Well, we'll have Jim Nance, of course, calling the Masters. Let's talk about the Masters. PJ Glasser, our betting expert, coming up at 2:25. Say Masters, Tim. Yes. Soak this in, this music. Yes, your 401k is up. It is the celebration of wealth. Every year, we get to just bask in the power of Augusta National. Fun facts about Augusta National. You know they have one of the best wine cellars in the world? We can't go. We're not members, right? But can you imagine? Do you know every single green and fairway underneath it has the irrigation system and to aerate? And now somebody slipped years ago, this nugget courtesy of Joe Pampliano. Somebody slipped years ago, and every pathway has a system that if it gets a little too wet, the vacuums underneath will just kind of dry it out. Perfect conditions for the Masters, and we'll talk to PJ Glasser and get ready for me to play. Some shows will play the piano music. I think this is called The Thrill of Victory. This speaks to the Masters to me on Sunday. I can see you're getting fired up, Tim, listening.
I don't get to listen to great music here in the sports bar, so I'm going to enjoy this for as long as you let me.
Yes. We will talk to PJ Glasser coming up in hour number 2. Bottom of this hour, our friend Dan Fates, Buffalo Plus 13 Wham, is, hey, Buffalo Plus, are they branching out over to the Sabres? Yeah, they were out there for that win against Tampa on Monday night. Sabres hockey tonight on WCMF. TV side, just be advised, it's not MSG. It's going to be on TNT and HBO. They are playing the Rangers. Last home game for the Rangers. For whatever it's worth, it's been a disastrous season for the Broadway Blues. But for the Sabres, look at this. The Sabres on the season. Magical year, and now there's a 3-way tie atop the division. So no more games at hand. Just 4 games left for the Sabres, Tampa, and yes, Montreal. They're all tied with 102 points. Montreal winning last night. Well, as luck would have it, Tampa plays in Montreal tomorrow night. So what you don't want is that game to go to overtime. Somebody handle their own business there and somebody lose out. Bottom line is here, if you do the math, the Sabres handled their own business. They should be your Atlantic Division champions, right? I would think that's the way it should be. Sabres tonight against the Rangers. They're back home tomorrow against Columbus, which I'm kind of bummed out. Somebody called me this morning and said, hey, I've got an extra ticket for a suite. I've only been to a suite once, and I made a commitment tomorrow night, so I cannot go.
The suites in Buffalo are awesome. I've also been once. It was a great time.
Yeah, the suites in Buffalo, if you haven't done that, it's not just the suite, but then you can kind of walk down to the, I believe it's the 200 level, and it's like, okay, like the carving stations and the fancy bars, and you feel like you're part of the club. It's also the level where, you know, they do the TV intermissions with Brian Duff and Marty Baron, so you feel like, yeah, you feel kind of like, all right, you're in the league. In fact, I would rather have a 200 club level seat rather than be down in the 100 level closer to the glass.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, that's to me.
It's a more intimate setting for. I mean, we're there to watch a hockey game, but the extra stuff that we are provided in that area is really, really cool.
Yeah. So So tomorrow night, I got to honor my commitment tomorrow night, and I cannot actually go to the Sabre game. But hopefully, you'll be able to listen tonight on WCMF. Sabres against the Rangers. We have the Amerks. Now, the Amerks, we talked a lot, Amerks hockey yesterday. We talked to Andrew Mossbrooks, voice of the Amerks in waiting, as I would say. It's not officially official, but we know kind of the deal, right? Don will retire, and Andrew's been doing this for a few years now, and he calls a great game. We also talked to Mike Leone. And I did this big preface because I didn't want him to rip my head off, saying, hey, if this is out of bounds for me to talk about the playoffs without the playoffs being clinched, because if there is one sport where athletes and coaches, fans are superstitious, it's hockey. It is. Hockey is very superstitious. So for me even to bring up playoffs when nothing is clinched, but the Amerks control their destiny. Mike Leone wasn't afraid to answer the question.
And to be honest with you, I think it would be remarkable. It's like there's a lot of other teams in the league that are going through what we're going through, and they're 10, 11, 12, 13 games under 500. I mean, we've probably missed close to 300 games. I think we're probably playing well enough where we probably could have 5 or 6 more wins. But our group has come a long way. I think we're a lot better hockey team than we were when we started the season, and I credit the group. I credit our staff. I think it would be remarkable for us to get in.
Yeah, that is Mike Leone yesterday, as he joins us every Tuesday here in the Sports Bar. So magic number 6, get a win tonight over Syracuse, and at least it goes down to 4. And one benefit here, too, of the two teams chasing you, you don't play Utica or Belleville anymore. No, so they're not going to be able to, get you at any point here. So to me, the Amerks, by this time next week, I want to be talking about who the Amerks will face in the 4-5 matchup. And if it's an Amerk team that showed you against Providence that they can play with anybody in this league. Providence, the most points in the league, the best record in the league, and the Amerks outplayed them on Saturday, clearly. And that can happen in any one particular game for sure. And the Amerks proved that. So Amerks hockey tonight, Don and Andrew in Syracuse. Last trip ever for Don to the On Center, where he got the plaque in Cleveland. He's gotten jerseys along the way. What do they do in Syracuse for Don tonight?
I'm pretty interested to see that because he's got a friendly rivalry with them, but I don't know how friendly it really is. It feels friendly on the radio, but I think he actually gets fired up inside. So, like, their PA announcer grinds his gears.
Oh, their PA announcer is, like, if you listen tonight, he's a clown. He is literally a clown. I am so grateful over the years, dating back to Tom George and now J.P. Hastings. And the Amerks have always had somebody who's going to tell you the scratches, who's going to tell you the penalty and the time, tell you you're on the power play, tell you last minute of play. And they don't have to do any of this. Crunch goal if you're listening tonight with the Crunch Clown Show. Stop. That just screams cheesy minor league. And look, if you're a Syracuse fan, you're offended. Ooh, you are a fan of a team that has a cheesy minor league PA announcer. So I'm 100% behind Don on that. And you know what? Don't do anything for Don. I'm saying if you really did, stop with the honors. And maybe Don should say, no, I don't want your crummy jersey tonight.
It'll be interesting to see if the PA announcer treats this announcement, which is a little more serious, well, not, you know what I mean. It's if he treats it the way a crunch goal, or if it's a let's honor Don Stevens for 40 years and do it like an adult.
No, he will put himself in the action. The Syracuse Crunch want to honor our opponent. Like, I don't even know, like, does that guy do local yokel radio out in Syracuse? I don't even know who they're.
I don't know anything about him other than his voice, and that Don does not like it.
Who does? Whenever it's like, oh, gosh. So, yeah, nothing would please me more than an Emmerich win tonight, actually being a shutout. No, nothing for you, Syracuse.
I like that. He's got to be quiet.
Yeah, Syracuse is actually a good team. Radim Murka joining the Amherst. Now, I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup tonight or not, but if we're looking ahead to the postseason, this is really good news. You're going to get one of the top 10 picks from this past June. Now, he's young, obviously. He was the 9th overall pick. How far we've come. Where the Sabres were this lottery team, and now we're talking about, hey, who do we want here in the first round? Can we get some home ice? Murka signing a 3-year entry deal with the Sabres. He played for Czechia in the World Juniors, so he's played a lot of hockey. His season in junior with Seattle ended, and I think that was the right move. Like the Sabres didn't need him per se, but Murka joining the Amherst here for the postseason, you would think, or at least next weekend. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup tonight. 585-866-4326 is the number. Masters we can talk about. We can talk some hockey. We will certainly talk some football, some Bills football as the OTAs continuing, although the Bills pretty much on lockdown here. It's not like the beat reporters are being allowed in. We're getting photos from the team. We see Josh Allen is there. So I think this is the time of year where if there's one thing we overreact to is so-and-so is not at OTAs. Myles Garrett is not at OTAs. Oh, Devin Achane for the Dolphins, not at OTAs. What does this mean? It doesn't mean anything. They are totally voluntary. You can work out wherever. You know, if you get to the main minicamp, hell, Aaron Rodgers skipped that 1 year to go to Egypt. So even that when he joined the Jets, if you remember that. I guess he was excused. But we're so hungry for football that we're going to overreact to little things like this. So where I want more Bills news and information, I understand the team's point that, like, if there is a player that is not there, let's not kind of let people know about it, because really it is a nothing burger in my opinion. Josh Allen's out there. You see the photo. That's fantastic. Yes. I will confess something here. I don't know that you know this, Tim. I can be a little gossipy. I've got my hand slapped with employers over the years. I can be a little gossipy. So with that, yeah, not a good day for sports journalism yesterday. If you hadn't heard, haven't seen the photos, an NFL head coach with an NFL reporter, and in photos, it just, hey, if it weren't the two of them, Mike Vrabel of the New England Patriots, head coach, and Diana Rossini, formerly ESPN, and now The Athletic / New York Times. If you haven't seen these photos, okay, it is a boutique hotel in Sedona. And this wasn't from the NFL owners' meetings. You got to back it up. This is previous to that, where Vrabel was at a pro day at Arizona State. And I don't know why Rossini was out there, but this boutique hotel in Sedona. And this is where they held a lot of weddings and everything else. And some of the photos, like, have backed out. It's like, wow, okay, I myself, I would like to go to this place. That looks, I've been through Arizona, but I've never kind of enjoyed Arizona. That seems like something that I might want to check out at some point. One of these photos, they're hugging, which Okay. Like, we all do like the man hug, right? You haven't seen a friend in a while. Hey, so the next one, it's they're holding hands, but not, side by side. They're facing each other holding hands, and their fingers are kind of interlocking. And according to the New York Post, who has this story, and page 6 of the New York Post, they got over on TMZ, because this feels all TMZ to me. Good day for the clicks at the New York Post here. And page 6, which page 6 has been going on for years and years and years, and they probably paid for these photos. But according to the eyewitness, that they were dancing here, fingers interlocking both hands. I think the one that's just like, how do you explain both of them lying in a shallow pool? Few thoughts here. And this one being the disclaimer, they're both adults, okay? They're both married. What they do in their private lives is their business. For me, you, anybody else. I can't tell you how to live your life. You can't tell me how to live your life, okay? But this is what female journalists have been fighting against, have they not? The stereotype that, hey, you got the story because ... You would think you would take great lengths not to be seen in this light, would you not? If you're Diana Rossini? And I'm not even going to go into the other online allegations. There was a story out of Washington years ago where now they're called the Commanders, former GM's wife said, hey, like that Diana Rossini did some things that were not, who knows, but that is one accusation that is out there. I just feel for every female journalist. It's like, you've got to be kidding me, right? You have to be kidding me. Like, let them do their jobs, but this has nothing to do with their job. And you can say, well, they're friends. No. Like, that's the whole idea of journalism. When you go and take journalism, you have to have that separation. You just kind of do. And I think it's just kind of a terrible look for Rossini. Is there a double standard there? Oh, yes, there's a double standard. Yeah, we got to acknowledge that too. Because Mike Vrabel, what are you doing there, bud? So whatever these two individuals are doing there, I don't feel sorry for them in the least. You've got to explain that to whoever, you answer to at home. You've got to explain it to other people. Now, funny thing is that, Vrabel had his statement, basically shooting it down because Vrabel's kind of, Belichick school. Rossini's employer, The Athletic, that's kind of insinuating these were taken out of context. I'm like, what? Okay, how so? Like, what is the context of being at a private boutique hotel in a pool with, when you're in a pool, you're in a bikini or, swimsuit, whatever it is. I don't know. It's just gossipy to me. And you know who a secret winner here is, Tim? It's Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is going to be like, oh, come on. Look at that guy. Hey, at least I'm above board with my relationship. That's the new head coach of the Patriots. Get me off of page 6 now, please.
I think that, I don't even know what to think, because at the end of the day, they're two consenting adults, but they're being spied on. Like, that's the weird thing to me is, why are you watching these people? Like, I understand what you're saying.
I do not know what time and era we live in. And this is nothing new. Like, you have to be always kind of on guard.
Yeah, if I got to look over my shoulder just to go outside, I think I'm going to stay in. Like, it's not worth it to get into this predicament. Like, both of these people, like, they can do whatever they want in theory, but also they're going to be judged and reprimanded and scolded and judged, and it's not a good look. And some of it, like that first photo, like, that does look like they're dancing. They're not, like, marrying each other, like, which looks like it looks like Vrabel's coming off of a knee.
So all right, well, but see, Tim, like, if you're Diana Rossini and you've got to go be for you can't put yourself in this position because it almost says I'm biased for Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, possibly, but it's the off season. They're not working. You're not working 24/7, right? Like, you're.
Oh no, come on. There's no off season in the NFL. Like
That's
when it comes
because
to,
that's because the silly fans won't let it.
So like if Diana Rossini actually has a story about the Patriots, hey, the Patriots are
Well,
are
no,
interested.
yeah, there's
like
that
if
credibility's
Diana,
gone.
If Diana Rossini says, hey, the Patriots are trading for A.J. Brown, would be like, whoa, how did you get that scoop, Di? Tell me.
I don't think that she releases any Patriots news anymore, which
She
kind of
can't.
hurts her credibility.
Yeah.
Like if she does, we believe it now because of this. And if
She's gonna have to, if she has Patriot news, she's gonna have to give it to one of her coworkers until this all kind of blows over.
Ooh, that's a good point. You're just scooping the scoop.
Scoop.
Here's what I have. Take it for me.
Yeah, well, like I would assume they have, somebody on the beat for the Athletic for the Patriots, and they do have writers for the New York Times. And yes, again, it's a double standard. I don't want to just kind of not acknowledge that, hey, you're Mike Vrabel. Is this really a good look for you? I don't know. Again, consenting adults, whatever, none of our business. I don't know. Well, I can say I don't know about you, Tim, because you someday you will be in a committed relationship.
Maybe.
I just know the executive producer. I don't even know what she would do. She would probably be like out. I mean, like for most of us, right? If you found yourself in that position. So, again, whatever we're saying here, it's kind of like a ha-ha, gossipy sort of thing. Vrabel's got to answer at home, and Rossini has to answer at home. And the thing is, with Rossini is like her ex-bio, hey, I cover this. I'm a proud mom of 2 sons. It's like, well, I'm sorry. If I'm getting all judgy and gossipy, so be it.
I did not know this about you.
Come on.
I didn't.
Come on.
Maybe I tried to ignore it.
Come
I don't
on,
know.
yeah. like I hear things. We'll talk to Dan Fates, 13 Wham Buffalo Plus. 15 days away from the NFL draft. How about that? We will talk some Bills draft. We will also talk about the Sabres. We'll talk to PJ Glasser about the Masters. That's in the next hour. You're always welcome to hit us up on X. Your feedback at WGR Rochester. Gene Battaglia with you here on the Sports Leader.
Sports Update.
Meaningful hockey in April for both the Amerks and Sabres, both in action tonight. The Amerks' magic number to make the postseason is down to 6. Team in Syracuse tonight, 7 o'clock for the call. Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks with the call here on WGR Rochester. Meanwhile, the Sabres find themselves in a three-way tie atop the Atlantic. Marty Baron today on Sabres Live on who'll win the division.
So I feel like Tampa has the tougher schedule. And then I think that Buffalo comes in because they have the tiebreak on Montreal, and Montreal's third. I really feel that the division goes to either Buffalo or the Montreal Canadiens. I don't think Tampa's going to be there.
Sabres and MSG tonight to face the Rangers. 7 o'clock on 96.5 WCMF. We'll get the thoughts of Dan Bates, 13 Wham and Buffalo Plus coming up next. Rochester Red Wings at 500 on the season. Wings tonight at Lehigh Valley. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. WGR Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
It feels like we are just so far behind, right, on our draft talk, and the Sabres are providing this distraction. And well, first we'll talk a little Sabres hockey and certainly some Bills. Joining us, our good friend Dan Fates, 13 Wham and Buffalo Plus. And Dan, you were out there Monday night covering the win over Tampa. What was the atmosphere there like?
It was awesome. I didn't grow up a Bills fan. Well, for as much as I was growing up in Webster, they were in their drought. Like, that wasn't it. I grew up a diehard Sabres fan. So that brought me back to the couple of times that my parents would get money together, and it was like a Pizza Hut deal. You got 4 tickets in the 300 section, and to go there, and the place was electric. And they did the tribute video before the game, narrated by Rick Jenneret. The place went bananas. It was what it was when I was a kid growing up to games, and to see the entire fan base get to celebrate something was really cool to see.
Are we making too much a deal of, hey, it doesn't matter because ultimately you're going to have to go through Tampa or Montreal and the wild card will be hot, or would the Sabres be better off here actually winning this division? Your thoughts here on the final 4 games for not just Buffalo, but for Tampa and Montreal?
Yeah, I'm not so worried about winning the division as much as I am staying in the top 2. You want to try and have that home ice advantage. We have seen the way that they have played so well at home and what this crowd would be like. I think it's a big difference between having game 1 with this crowd and snapping the 14-year postseason drought at the KeyBank Center as compared to having a game 3. So that to me is the big thing that I'm looking at is you don't got to win the division, but you at least got to be hosting Montreal or Tampa Bay, however you can do it. So that's what I'm most thinking about in that aspect.
I think for so many years, Dan, during the Sabre drought, and you know this, like I would watch then the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm like, is this the same league the Sabres actually play in?
Yeah.
And we go back to January, February, where it's like, hey, this team could make the playoffs, but then you realize, oh boy, are they actually going to rise to that level? I think they're going to be okay because they've been facing all these teams, whether that's Ottawa or Detroit or you go back to Washington. Those teams, their playoffs already began here.
Yeah, 100%. And I always looked at when the Sabres wanted to be this more physical team, it's like their fourth line had zero chance of scoring a goal. And you watch the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you need your third and fourth lines to contribute and score some dirty goals. And I'm looking around, and I'm watching that game, and, Gene, I'll say this. I've been covering sports in Rochester for over 10 years. First Sabres game I ever covered was Monday.
What?
First one. And it was my first Sabres game I've been to since before my kids were born. So it had been a while. And I saw Steven Gianta up in the press box because he was scouting for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I told him that this was the first game I've ever covered. And he looks at me and goes, really? And I go, well, what has there been to cover for 10 years? I go, there hasn't been a reason to come up to Buffalo. And to watch it also, like hockey is my first, I think I know the most about hockey just from playing growing up. I did it in color commentary and in play-by-play in college and things like that. And to see the ice from that level and to see how well Zach Benson plays and stuff that you won't see on the stat sheet and stuff that I didn't even notice from the TV angle. Little things like that, being on the third line and being so pesky. His stick's always in the right spot. He's always tying up somebody. He's always in the right position. He's reading plays, breaking up passes. All of those things really impress me. If Monday happened to be the first time you've ever watched a hockey game, you would probably think Alex Tuch was the greatest player in the NHL. Like, things like that. And then you had UPL making big save after big save. And that was kind of the bugaboo thinking about this team. And, well, hey, they're going to make the playoffs. Now the question is, how deep can they go? And it's like, well, has this goalie by committee ever really worked in a post-Stanley Cup playoffs? And there have been some teams that have done it and things like that. But a lot of times you find the hot goalie and you ride them. And that is what I think we're seeing over these last 2 weeks with UPL and how steady he's looked in that.
Yeah, UPL looking great. And Dan, I'll ask you the question because it seems like the Sabres, in terms of what's happened here, they've skipped a couple steps, right? Like, they were the worst team. I mean, what other instances in sports do you actually have teams that go from being arguably the worst in the league one year to all of a sudden, hey, they're actually a cup contender? I mean, your Braves, I actually will give them a little credit there in the early 90s.
91.
Yeah, they were not very good, and then just a collection of young talent showed up at the same time and clicked at the same time. I mean, it's rare that you have something like this happening.
Yeah, you had Vegas when they came into the league and putting things together. And that's not necessarily the worst, but you just didn't know what they were. And so I think it's a combination of a couple things. I went into that game on Monday. The Sabres had lost 5 out of 7, and the Sabres had kind of chalked it up to, well, we were playing teams that just had more to play for than us. We were kind of posting into the postseason, things like that. And I watched that game, and it was like, all right, hey, you guys have a lot to play for tonight. Like, first place, like, there's a lot to play for. And you saw the big players kind of step up and make big plays. Think about Alex Tuch. Think about how badly some of those guys needed to get goals with Josh Norris, needing to get a goal, got a goal, all of those kind of things, and how good Jason Zucker has been, like all those kind of things. So it wasn't that the pieces were never not there. I mean, think about it. You have Dahlin and Tage Thompson and Tuch, and you've had them for a couple of years. But sometimes there are just moments that I think galvanize a team. Lindy Ruff goes back to a lot of it. The 3-game West Coast road trip they played right before they fired Kevin Adams, and that they thought they started to play well. And when we were up there at practice last week, and we talked to them about, hey, what has happened? What is this all about? Kind of like to your question, Gene. And it was interesting. Jack Quinn goes, I think we went on a 10-game heater and started to believe in ourselves and started to have a little bit of swagger. And we asked Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen that same question. He goes, not only that, when you win and you like one another and you're having fun, he goes, you can have hard conversations in a locker room. That if things aren't right, you could actually tell somebody and they don't get offended. And that's what they're having in this team. I never thought of it like that. But obviously when you're losing and you want to get in somebody's face and tell them you didn't get the puck out and that you're out of position here, it's like, well, screw you. What's the big deal? We're losing games. But when you're winning and you can have those honest conversations, it's going a lot farther.
Yeah, you don't want to let the guys down if you're not getting the puck out of the zone there, as Krebs did in that second goal. We're talking to Dan Fates, 13 Wham, Buffalo Plus. Before we get to the Bills talk, quick thought here on the Amerks where, hey, like something bad would have to happen for this team not to make the postseason.
Yeah.
And considering, all right, all the injuries and all the call-ups and like what's left, it's Helenius and your goalie. That's about it. To me, Mike Leone should be coming back next year based on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now they're in a stretch of 7 games in 11 or 12 days. And I asked Leo about that last week, and he kind of said, like, how do you coach through this? Like, is there anything you do? Resting guys? He's like, it's just guts. It's just guts, and and you got to compete. So they have had 11 players. You talk about Riley Fidler-Schultz being out for the season, a bunch of guys down. You have Roseanne traded. Like, all of this stuff, they have found ways to scratch and claw. It hasn't been pretty. Devin Levi hasn't been great this year, if we're just being honest, and I really like Devin. But maybe he gets hot at the right time and they can make some noise in the playoffs. You never know what it can be like with a hot goalie. But yeah, it's just a gutsy, gritty team of guys that have really never played much pro hockey, just trying to scratch and claw every night.
Dan, switching to the Bills, and if I'm going to kind of lump, free agency, what's happened, what could happen, and the draft together, so far, I'm not over the moon with this Bills offseason. That's just my opinion. I think they've done okay, but it's not like everything is kind of fixed, and there's so many questions on the defensive side of the ball. And then I'm thinking, boy, you really need wide receivers, but my gosh, you need a lot of help over there. So because a lot of these questions weren't answered, or should we kind of brace for the idea that maybe a trade down and perhaps take defense at 26? Your thoughts, on what has happened so far and what could be happening for the draft?
Yeah, Jenna likes to say on the podcast so much that two things can be true at the same time. I think DJ Moore will make this team better offensively. To what extent, I don't see him. I'll be honest, I don't see him as a 1,000-yard receiver at this point in his career or with this Bills offense and Joe Brady. But I can like the addition, right? But there are so many times when I sit there and I'm starting to look at players and I go, ooh, that guy would be a good fit in the second round. And you go, don't got that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're starting to go, okay, I like DJ Moore, but I don't like what it costs to get him. I would have liked Michael Pittman Jr. and still having a second-round pick. Like, that's where my mind's at. And again, he could be great. You're still now don't have a second-round pick, and that is for everybody that will make sarcastic comments that Bean doesn't know how to draft early in the draft, and look at how bad his picks are. It's baloney. It's just not true. You look at the second round between Cole Bishop and Osiris Torrance and James Cook. He's hit on a lot of guys. I know we can be critical of him, especially at this point where the roster is, but he has found day two value in a lot of spots. And to not have that, where I sit there and I go, man, it'd be nice to be able to be flexible, because we'll hear Bean a lot over these next week or so saying we got to trust the board. We set the board and then we trust it. But it sure feels like they're pigeonholed into some kind of speed edge rusher. I can also see it being Caden McDonald as a defensive tackle, not nearly as sexy of a pick. But it's in there and I go, man, I'd like to take a safety possibly in the second round. Or, man, I'd like to get one of those third-tier wide receivers that are probably too high at 26 and probably won't be there when they come around in the third round. You're kind of handcuffed. So what are you doing? So, yeah, you're still trying to figure it out. I think the most likely thing is a trade back more than anything, or more than in any years past. I'm expecting the trade back.
Yeah, because how many times have you Brandon Beam will review the draft and then he'll say, well, we only had X number of first-round grades there. And they don't have 26 first-round grades, I'm assuming here.
Nope. No, I bet they don't have 20, and that's why we're good. Sorry, G, but that's where it goes back to you're a good team, and you're so hesitant at times to give up a first-round pick. And if you're at 26 and you wanted Jalen Waddle and you didn't want to give up a first-round pick, did you have 26 first-round picks? It's a second-round pick. Like, the first round ends at 18, and then the second round is pretty much 19 to 40-something. And then you get to the third round, the way the Bills are drafting and the way they've had to become accustomed, and this is nothing new. So they can't use the defense of, this is something different drafting late in the first round. This is where they have been. They have to find more success, more value, and that's where it could even be, who knows, moving up to 20th if, say, Jordan Tyson falls that far. And maybe you find a JSN or a Justin Jefferson, and you move up a little bit because you think that that's more of an immediate impact in value, and it's cost controlled. That is where they need to find value in it, is that cost controlled aspect of it.
Yeah, it's not a cost-controlled wide receiver room right now. I think we could kind of, but like, what would you have to, say it's Lemon, or my gosh, if we really want to daydream, like say somebody like a Carnell Tate. Oh my gosh, he actually fell a little bit. You would give up next year's first-round pick, Dan, if it would make sense.
Sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's the one thing I always love to hear. And again, at some point, I think you have to be the Rams and say F the picks and put your cards in the middle. I don't know when that is, because Bean has done a pretty good job of not building up debt on the credit card. But I look at it and I go, and Mike was just talking about it too, and we're going to do kind of preview the draft more this week on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. We're going to do a podcast right after I'm on the call here. And he's like, well, next year's draft is supposed to be really good. And I go, every year's next draft is supposed to be really good. And that's what this happens. Like every year it's like, oh, well, those quarterbacks are going to be great. Well, nobody saw Fernando Mendoza being the first overall pick the year before. So to sit there and hold on to something because of what it could be, I say it all the time. Everybody loves picks until they become players. And then, but you have this shiny pick. I've got the pick. But then what do you do with it? And if there is somebody that you can hitch your wagon to and feel confident, then I'd be comfortable making the move and going to, like I said, does Miami want to trade out of, what are they, 10 or 11? Could that be someplace that could be for sale? Because even though I'm sitting here, Gene, and telling you that I think most likely they trade back, they've also got to find somebody that wants to move up late in the first round. So there's all those dynamics that will go into it, and I'm sure we will hear Brandon Beane will say no matter what, they got plenty of calls.
There was, we can go back to the NFL owners meetings where the head coaches talk. There was one thing that Joe Brady brought up that my ears perked up like Scooby-Doo. Like, talking about Dalton Kincaid and how they have to manage his practice reps or whatever.
Don't love this, Gene.
You're kidding me. Like, is he telling us there's some sort of chronic condition? And if so, why are you picking up the fifth-year option?
Yeah, that was the biggest concern that I took away from the entire owners meeting of we're not even into May and we're hearing about load management pretty much. And we talked about it on the podcast last week, just the fact of, Josh had foot surgery and they're like, well, he'll be fine. Like, he may miss some of the voluntary stuff and, the walkthrough stuff, but he'll be fine. They're not saying that about Dalton. And they could say, what's stopping them from saying, he's fine. We'll keep an eye on it. We want to keep him healthy because we know he's such a big part of the team. They didn't go that route, Gene. They went with the route of training camp's going to come up and it'll probably be 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off. And it's like, and again, I understand that. And I was talking about it on the podcast. I understand that if you're Mike Evans, if you're Travis Kelce, I don't care that you need reps. You're a Hall of Famer. That's fine. Up until last year, Dalton and Josh were saying they had to get on the same page. And so you're taking reps away. You're taking that continuity, that connection that you build. It's why they all talk about how important practices are and how coaches wish they had more padded practices, and you're already saying that you're going to take them off of your 25-year-old tight end. That's the concerning thing. And again, I was kind of phrasing it on the podcast of the whole reason everybody goes to the NFL Combine is to get medicals. And we have seen time and time again, it was Will Johnson, I believe 2 years ago, the cornerback from Michigan that was supposed to be a top 10 pick and then fell out of the first round because he had what some believed was a ticking time bomb in his knee. Well, if you're finding out this stuff about Dalton Kincaid now, say he was a potential first rounder, would you use a first-round pick on Dalton Kincaid knowing that this knee injury isn't going well and that you're kind of having to monitor it in March? I don't know. So I'm concerned in the short term and I'm concerned in the long term because normally teams are so buttoned up. Well, he's day to day. He's week to week. He'll be fine. We'll keep an eye on it. And they didn't take that approach. That was surprising to me. So, I'm very concerned about that.
Honestly, I think it's a rookie mistake by Joe Brady. It's a little thing, big term. And look, I don't want to be talking out of both sides of my mouth because our job is to get information and good on the reporters out there that with Matt Perino and Sal Capaccio, they got the information. But if you're a team, do you really want that out there? And I'm sure, that's, maybe we will learn a little bit more because we're just conditioned to McDermott just, no, we'll see. We'll get there and we'll see.
Yeah, but Beane also talked about it, too, the day before, kind of trying to monitor it and how they're trying to strengthen things around the knee. And, he did a lot better job this year of building up his strength, just not around his knee. And it's like, holy cow, you would think this is the 38-year-old offensive tackle that you're trying to hold together to get through a season. And this is March with your 25-year-old tight end that's supposed to be the mismatch. That has some concern for me. And then the other thing, too, from that owners meeting was the continued support for Keon Coleman from Joe Brady.
Yeah, and I think that's the only play at this point until he's traded or otherwise. Dan, one last one for you, because there are a lot of guys that have been part of this team for years that are still kind of sitting out there. Is there one guy above the others that you would like to see back, whether that's Trey White or Milano or, heck, you could say Cooks? I mean, that's a debate you and I have had here. But as far as these names that are sitting out there, which one do you think they might bring back?
Yeah, I would like Milano. I thought that he comes back at some point. That kind of goes before really free agency started. I think he could fit in a Jim Leonard-style defense. The other one, I loved what I saw from Shaq Thompson. I absolutely thought that he brought an edge and a physicality to this defense. I think that that's another player that, free agency is kind of on hold right now. Agents are saying we're just going to wait, telling their players, that kind of thing. And I think teams are – this goes back to when last year we thought the Bills would draft multiple wide receivers. They didn't. Bean goes on, GR says the thing about the wide receivers, and they sign Elijah Moore. Like, they have guys lined up that how the board falls. So I think that if they don't find some type of linebacker that they're happy with, I think Shaq Thompson or Matt Milano could be back in Buffalo.
Dan, the Buffalo Plus podcast, tell everybody about the schedule and we can check out tonight here at 13 Wham.
Yeah, last week we kind of recapped the owners meeting. Mike had a podcast up yesterday talking about the league and just kind of everything that's been going on around that as we get closer to the NFL draft. And today we're going to take a look at just some of the scenarios, the trade up, the trade back, what happens if somebody falls, who would be a reach, who would you be happy with, just kind of really gearing up for the NFL draft. I also wanted to say that I don't love this Braves team, as I've talked about, Gene.
Oh, I like the segue. Go ahead. But they're only a half game behind the Mets.
Walt Weiss went up in my book big time yesterday.
Yeah, what led to all that, and then Weiss tackling Soler? Or what was this last night? Yeah, that's Soler
hit a home run.
Okay.
Yeah, he hit a home run for Reynaldo Lopez in the first inning, and I guess that's like his 6th career home run. So the next at bat, Soler came up and he got hit on the hand, and then it goes to the 6th inning, and it's a high pitch that it wasn't anywhere near his head. It almost like went over the umpire's head. Ball goes to the backstop. They throw down to second base. They're showing the replay of that, and the announcers are like, Soler's charging the mound. You're like, what? And they're throwing haymakers, and you see Soler, who is 6'4", 230 pounds, just pure muscle, and you have 62-year-old Walt Weiss, who, like a linebacker, sifting through blockers in the hole with a perfect takedown tackle. Was just unbelievable. I'm trying to go to bed, Gene, and I'm like, I'll watch a little bit of this game as they're on the West Coast. And all of a sudden, I'm up. I want every single angle. I know John Boy's going to do a breakdown, but it was just awesome. And then to talk to some of my Braves friends that cover the team in Atlanta, I guess he trains every day with boxing and MMA. I said it showed. And again, Soler won the World Series with the Braves 5 years ago. So after it all cools down, you have Ozzie Albies and Acuna and Walt Weiss kind of being like, what's going on? And Soler's like, my bad. Like, I know batters get all upset about pitches up high, understandable. It didn't really warrant the response, but that was the first time I said this could be the start of the championship DVD. Your 62-year-old manager tackling Jorge Soler in a brawl.
Dan, go look up the photos, because I remember Walt Weiss as this toothpick middle infielder for the A's teams that won a couple World Series there, or went to the World Series. Like the guy has transformed himself over the decades here.
Yeah. They showed a clip of him running over a catcher, knocking him out cold in his playing days, at a play at the plate. So I liked what I saw from the Braves yesterday. That's about it.
Well, Dan, it's going to be a long season, and let me be the first to tell you that the Mets are in first place.
Go Braves. Have a good one, Gene. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate Dan Fates. There was one time, Tim, I swear I didn't mean to hang up on him. But
we have that.
Do we have that?
I believe we do. Yes, we do.
Oh, no.
Again, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, Dan, appreciate it. And look out this week. LGM, good talking to you, Dan. Bye.
Yeah.
Oh, Gene!
Yes!
No, you social misfit. Oh, we want to have Dan back on with us. Now, you just hung up on him.
I didn't hang up on him.
Now you see. Now, anybody that wonders, why do I call Gene a social misfit Mets fan? Now you see the disrespect.
He was going to get his Braves propaganda out over the air.
Oh,
I will text him. I will apologize. So, and I did, and he was fine. I didn't mean to hang up on him. Good job by you to pull that up real quick. We've got Timmy's terrible take of the day. That is coming up. You can join us as well on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Hey, it's Gino here for Window Nation. Spring's here. It's a great time to open your windows, and no way, they're not opening easily. They leak when it rains. They have cracked glass. They need repainting. Again, getting top quality custom fit windows from Window Nation is easy and affordable. Right now, during the More You Buy, the More You Save sale, you could save up to 50% on all your windows. Plus, you could get them with zero interest for 5 years. During uncertain times, one of the best investments you can make is in your home. In fact, experts report that windows retain 80% of their value. With Window Nation, you'll get windows that easily slide open and closed. They're made with top-quality seals, so they won't leak when it's rainy or windy. And unlike other windows, they're maintenance-free. They're so good, Window Nation stands behind them with a lifetime warranty. And they're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Don't wait to put an end to your window problems. Save big with Window Nation's The More You Buy, The More You Save sale going on now. Sale ends soon, so visit windownation.com now for a consultation.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000?
the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
As Pittsburgh prepares to welcome the nation to the unofficial beginning of the football season, the city's kickoff celebration will begin with an unforgettable invite-only night of music. The night before takes place on Wednesday the 22nd at the Rivers Casino Event Center featuring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Profit. Visit Odyssey.com/the night before to enter now for your chance to win this national contest. Prizes include round-trip airfare, 2-night hotel stay, and 2 tickets to the show. Again, you got to do this week here at Odyssey.com/the night before. Good luck.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
Honk, honk, woo, woo, woo.
Hearing that song today makes me even more upset because I was going to run a power play today. I was going to play the one that Chris from Kentucky put out, and that button's gone. You guys are in cahoots and got rid of the button because you knew I was going to play.
No.
It's
If
gone.
it doesn't save,
It's gone. That's not fair to me. I was going to press the button, and I was going to run a power play on you, and now I can't because you ran a power play on me.
See, Chris would always stop by and bring us some of that good, it's bourbon beer. I'm not getting that anymore. I know as a result of this. You're going to be getting everything now from Chris.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Awesome, and I can't wait. Fates kind of stole my take, so I'm going to pivot a little bit here and just push it right into the NBA. I was going to compare the MLB and NBA a little bit, but I'm just going to go straight to the tanking problem. Giannis goes out, was sat for most of the season. They didn't make the playoffs. They tanked, but they didn't even do it very well because they are the last team out in the East. Whatever. But now there's teams adding guys that people have never heard of in the NBA where I'm in agreement. If I'm in agreement with Draymond Green, something is incorrect, right? So Draymond Green last night was asked about tanking and how the NBA has a problem with it, but he was dead on in the sense that, like, oh, when we do something wrong, they take our money. Take theirs. That's a good fix. Draymond Green having a good idea, to me, is a terrible take.
Yeah, like the Kings didn't even try last night. And this commissioner, I mean, Adam Silver, we came in when he waved his finger at Donald Sterling, like, yeah, this is a guy that he's terrible. He's the worst commissioner of sports. In a world where you have Rob Manfred and a world where you actually have Gary Bettman, like, Adam Silver, do you have any control over anything? I'm asking honestly. And it doesn't seem to be a big deal.
What would you say
Yeah.
you do here?
There's no reason for you, the NBA fan, to actually be invested in any of these games if your team isn't jockeying for one of the top spots for playoff position. Like, honestly, and the thing that'll drive me nuts, and it always does, and our eye will be in a different spot. It'll be on Sabres playoff hockey. But what the NHL does, Tim, I love it. Game, night off. Game, night off. NBA, game, wait 3-4 days. Like, they stretch the first round over 3 weekends. Unacceptable. So the NBA, to me, has all sorts of issues. And the thing that's terrible about this, the talent in the NBA now is as good as we've ever had it. When you're going to have two of these 3 guys, whether that's Jokic, he's not going to win it, or Wemby, or SGA, like, 2 of those guys are not going to win the MVP. And I'm not even mentioning like a half a dozen other guys.
They have to trot Wemby out there and pull him off the court just so he's eligible for awards. He's hurt, and he has to get to the threshold.
That's another half-baked idea that
Probably they meant well for Anthony. Like, all of what they're doing in the NBA. Like, I'm not a huge NBA fan, and this is why. Like, I don't know. There are players literally being brought up from the G League on 10-day contracts just to get the season over with, and who does that compel to show up to the arena and watch this stuff?
Why would you go pay for that?
Right.
Why would you go pay for that? Like, the NBA has some serious issues. No doubt about it.
I went to one NBA game this year. It was the Cavs and the Hornets, and I went for $3. That's why I went. And well, the Browns were getting smoked by the
Well,
Bears.
isn't that a problem too? That you went for $3? Good on there. You found that value. We will talk to PJ Glasser. I'm sure he's got thoughts on this. PJ Glasser, or maybe if he's a betting expert, it's pretty easy, right? Like, okay, tanking team, whoop, whoop, whoop. Let's jump on that. PJ Glasser will join us here coming up in a little bit. You're welcome to join us, too, at 866-4326. Gene Battaglia with producer Tim Schneider and the Dan DeLorean here on WGR Rochester.
BEE HD2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester. Sports update.
Amherst and Sabres both in action tonight. And actually, the Amherst match number went down to 5. Turns out that Utica lost this morning to the Marlies. Syracuse is the opponent tonight. 7 o'clock, Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks with the call. Brian Duff on the Sabres live show says that help is on the way for Rochester.
We had a response from Mertka as well, who has joined the Amerks after his junior season came to an end. That would be unlikely, but it is wonderful to have a lot of depth options. The Amerks have not been fully healthy on their back line of late, and we're actually going to see Max Sturback get his first go tonight against Syracuse.
Sabres in a 3-way tie up top the Atlantic. Sabres at MSG to face the Rangers, 7 o'clock. Hear that on 96.5 WCMF. Rochester Red Wings are 500 on the season. The Wings tonight continuing their series at Lehigh Valley. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2 as we're flying in. Great day for sports. The sun is out. Spring is here. Welcome back into the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia with you. Tim Schneider as well. Dan Drummy doing his fine work. And we welcome your calls at 585-866-4326. You can hit us up on X at WGR Rochester as a good friend of the show, Brian, did today. Vrabel or Rossini interview today on the show. No, she and he did not accept our invite, but they're welcome to join us. You're welcome at any time at the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. We mentioned this in the update, and Tim, you pointed this out. Good on you. The oddball 10:45 a.m. puck drop at, I don't even know what they call the arena, Coca-Cola, Rico, whatever they call it up in Toronto now. The Marlies take the 2 points, and it's only Utica getting 1. So Utica gets a loser point, but they need 2. So the magic number goes from 6 to 5. If the Amerks get 2 points tonight, magic number goes from 5 to 3. So theoretically, we could come back on Monday, and there we go.
I think that there is a very, very high likelihood that happens because Belleville's got Laval twice as well, so they might knock themselves out.
Yeah, Belleville, I'm not even concerned with.
Amerks take care of their business tonight and this weekend, and we are talking playoffs on Monday.
Yeah, if the Amerks win tonight, we go from DEFCON 4 back to DEFCON 5. To use the War Games analogy there. The Amerks, by the way, we're talking yesterday how, like, Major League Baseball can't manage their schedule correctly. When it comes to the NFL, and the NFL, they have an advantage, right? Because baseball takes more time, and the NFL season, regular season's 4 months. You got time to plan it out, I suppose. But that being said, baseball needs to do a better job. We should not be having Blue Jays Dodgers baseball in the second week in April. A World Series that was one of the best of all times, and in recent memory at least. And my gosh, it's an afterthought this week with everything kind of going on. That should be center stage. 3:07 today. The Dodgers looking for the sweep of the Jays, by the way. Yamamoto was great last night. And I'm bringing this up today, too, because there's another wait, we're not done with the Amerks season? Did you see this? They announced that the home opener for the Amerks be Friday, October 2nd. That is a week earlier than last year. So now I'm confused. Are they actually going to – because there's been talk that the NHL was going to expand by 2 games, and if they are doing that, do they have to actually start the American Hockey League? I don't know, but that's – I got to say that's the earliest we've ever had a season opener for the Amerks.
Yeah, the first week of October has been before, but not October 2nd.
October 2nd is really, really early. And again, spare me the is it October yet? No. When the hockey season ends, I like my summer. You should too. The Utah Mammoth, I give them credit. And this is what a news franchise should do. You should have fun. You should come up with different things. And they unveiled the Zammoth. What is the Zammoth, you ask? Well, it's their Zamboni. And they turned the Zamboni into just a giant logo. 17-foot high ice blue mammoth with glowing eyes, giant 3D printed tusks. This is the Zamboni reimagined. And Joe DiBiase, who will join us on the show tomorrow, like, okay, the Sabre current logo doesn't do this, but the slug might. Could you get the Buffalo slug kind of going around? See, I don't look fondly back at the Buffalo slug.
I vetoed it entirely. I refused to wear anything. Like, I would win Buffalo slug prizes, and I would give them away.
I appreciate the thought there, but Utah, good on you. That's fun. And Utah right now could be a wild card team in the West, and that's good for Salt Lake City. Connor Griffin, Pirates, 9 years.
9 times.
$140 million. Let's put this in the context, right? The previous money that the Pirates had doled out to anyone in any contract was Brian Reynolds, who's still there, and at this point, is serviceable, but he's not a star at this point or anything like that. That was a little over $100 million, but that's somebody that could have hit it big in free agency. He might have taken a little bit of a hometown discount. This is someone who just got called up last week. Connor Griffin is the top prospect in baseball, and can't say prospect, he's here. He's 19. So $140 million to a 19-year-old. So the reason the Pirates do this is, well, Griffin, by calling him up now, would have been a free agent at 26. So Griffin giving back 2 years of free agency on the back end to get the $140 million on the front end. Griffin will also be able to cash in again. That's also the thing here, too. Like, okay, you can get another big contract because when this is up, he's still only going to be 28. There's also kind of the obvious factor, and that's this. For everybody that wants to say, well, Juan Soto was the last teenager. Yeah, that's great. And that, what if this doesn't work out? If you're the Pirates, don't worry about that. Good for their fans. Good on that. Oh my gosh, the Pirates are actually spending some money. And you couple that with Paul Skeens. Now, Skeens is still, 3 years away from free agency? Sounds crazy. I would not give Paul Skeens the money. I would trade Paul Skeens. If I'm running a team and we have to acknowledge that the Pirates don't have the same revenue stream. As cheap as they are, they're not the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets or the Cubs. And I look at what the Rays have done over the years. And granted, the Rays have yet to win a World Series. But you know what? By and large, they pop their head up out of the sand every so often and they're competitive. One of their tenets, and this goes back to the previous owner, was they were never going to pay for a pitcher. Pitchers break. Pitchers play, if you're a starter, one every 5 games? You want to get position players. That's where you want to invest the money. Pitching is so fickle in baseball. It really is. If you play fantasy baseball, don't waste a pick on Tarek Skubal because he might, I don't want to jinx it, but like pitchers like that, they get hurt all the time.
Cole Reagan's got hurt this afternoon.
No, really?
Lasted 5 batters against Cleveland.
Yeah, the kid, Horton from the Cubs, shut down. It's terrible. And so for Skeens, I'm not saying that's going to happen to Paul Skeens. What I'm saying is the contract he is going to get, you're better off investing in position players. And if you think Connor Griffin is going to be the cornerstone, enjoy Skeens if you're a Pyro fan, because I don't know if they think the way that I would. But Paul Skeens, say next year, he could get you a bounty. And Paul Skeens, with his world-famous girlfriend, baseball would rather have him in Los Angeles or as a Yankee. Paul Skeens actually showed up in Buffalo. That was kind of and showed up actually at a Sabre game too. But just my thought that good on the Pirates that they actually got this done. Right now we're watching the par 3 contest for the Masters. And, Tim, it's that time of year. Yes. Some shows will play the piano tones. I particularly love this. It is the time where we celebrate our status. We celebrate our wealth. Augusta National just doesn't know what to do with all this money. Here's a fun fact, and you probably notice this. You may not even know this, but do you realize that CBS on Sunday and ESPN doing this right now, they're not allowed to sell any ads into this. Augusta National controls all the inventory. And that's why, for me, on Sunday, when you're watching the leaders or whatever, just the limited commercial breaks. And yeah, you have to deal with an IBM whatever once in a while. But all that money that for that IBM or whoever it is, that goes right back to Augusta National. And you say, well, what is the payoff for CBS? CBS knows that you're going to, they'll get the bump there for 60 minutes. ESPN knows that, hey, I got to make sure I've subscribed to ESPN. Let me just listen to this a little bit more, Tim. Do you not feel your wallet getting more full right now listening to this?
I think it's working in the complete opposite manner for me.
Why?
Because it makes me want to go there and spend all of my monies.
No. You don't understand what the Masters is about, though. If you have the wherewithal to get on a private jet, if you have the wherewithal to be a member, and how many are there? 150 at Augusta National? Here's another fun fact about Augusta National, right? The PGA of America. That's a not-for-profit. That's a joke. They should be. Augusta National, they're for profit. They don't want you looking into their books. That's none of your business. We'll just write the check there to Uncle Sam. You have to respect that. I know somebody who loves some golf. We'll get the plays from one PJ Glasser coming in next. Tim, let's just ride this into the break. You're listening to Rochester Sports Leader, the Sports Bar in WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
The Amerks magic number actually during the course of the show went down to 5 because Utica, that just went final up in Toronto, losing in overtime. The Amerks magic number can drop even further tonight with a 2-point win in Syracuse. 7 o'clock down Stevens. Andrew Mossbrooks with the call tonight. Sabres also in action tonight as they are right now in a 3-way tie atop the Atlantic. Marty Baron today on Sabres Live on who wins the division.
So I feel like Tampa has the tougher schedule. And then I think that Buffalo comes in because they have the tiebreak on Montreal, and Montreal's third. I really feel that the division goes to either Buffalo or the Montreal Canadiens. I don't think Tampa is going to be there.
Sabres tonight at MSG to face the Rangers, 7 o'clock on 96.5 WCMF. Wings tonight at Lehigh Valley. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
The best local sports talk in the Flower City. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR. Rochester.
A fantastic time of year because, gosh, it was only 2 weeks ago that PJ Glasser was in D.C. taking on that unbelievable UConn finish against Duke, and then UConn coming up short. I'm not too sad about that. PJ joining us here today. PJ, like, we love talking about the Masters, and you've covered golf from a betting angle as close as anybody. But earlier in the show, our producer Tim brought up, his point about NBA tanking, and this is going in the wrong direction. Kind of your overall thoughts here. I mean, does it actually make it easier for you when it comes to identifying these teams that are in the NBA, or they're just kind of mailing in at this point?
Yeah, I mean, from a betting perspective, Gene, it certainly makes it easy. I think we all know at this point the teams that are definitely trying to lose and are trying to better their draft odds with this class that we have upcoming and the draft coming in June. But, to be honest with you, Gene, like you said, with March Madness and now the Masters, I truly don't bet the NBA all that much until we get to the postseason because it is so difficult. I think if you were to bet it, you certainly could look at the angle of, especially when dealing with those tanking teams, of betting them in the second half or maybe like live in the fourth quarter. Because, I mean, Gene, let's be honest, those front offices are all trying to lose. So they might be making some calls from upstairs if it's a close game in the fourth quarter to make certain decisions and those kinds of things. I just think, the NBA from a betting standpoint, tough to bet in the regular season, but we would all agree they have a difficult issue right now in the NBA. They have a big problem with tanking because the regular season has kind of become unwatchable in a sense with all these teams that are essentially just giving up and are hoping to get good draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, do they have a tanking issue or do they have a leadership issue at the root of this, PJ?
I think it's probably a little of both. I think it's more so a tanking issue. I think it mostly started with that 76ers and like the process and like all that. Yeah. And I think people really started to see how quickly that team changed overnight. And they got Simmons when he was good early in his career, and then obviously Embiid, and then they become a playoff perennial team. And a lot of these other teams, especially when you're not getting a lot of these high-level free agents, because just about all of them seem to go to the same type of teams, that's the path. And they've been cheating the system for a long time. Adam Silver and the NBA are trying to adjust to it. But yeah, we'll see how this goes the next couple of years. I do think it's a tanking issue, though.
Yeah, definitely. PJ Glasser is talking golf with us every year he's been on, our guest here in the Sports Bar, WGR Rochester. Fifth straight year that Scotty Scheffler comes to Augusta National as the top-ranked player in the world here, PJ. And is there any value whatsoever? We'll start there with him because all eyes should be on him coming up tomorrow here.
Scotty's so fascinating this week, Gene, because like you said, it feels like the last few years he's been the favorite coming to Augusta. And not only has he been the favorite, but the heavy favorite, right? I mean, Scotty's been like plus 300, plus 350. He's been so dominant early in the year the past few years. And that's usually what you want to bet at Augusta. Those guys that are hot earlier in the year, it usually carries over to Augusta National. But now you're getting Scotty. I mean, there are like some plus 510s out there, some plus 550s. So he hasn't been in great form. He's taken some time off. He just had the birth of his second child. I really don't know what to expect. Course history, as we know, experience, big factor at this course, but you also got to have some current form too. I mean, it's a tough course to just show up and not have every part of your game working. I still feel like you got to have some kind of Scotty exposure this week, whether you want to bet him top 5 at plus money, you can get him top 10, at like minus 150, something like that. I think the top 10 is probably the way to go. But it is just funny, Gene, how every year we come into this tournament talking about can anybody beat Scotty. Doesn't really feel like we're talking about that this year. It kind of feels like, yeah, he's the favorite and rightfully so, but a lot of people taking some shots elsewhere on the board.
Yeah, and another thing, too, another storyline that kind of faded away, the live golfers. And before it was like, hey, you're breaking up here the sport of golf, and now it's gotten to a point where, all right, you go do your thing. We don't really care. It seems like we've kind of moved on from that. All these live golfers, and it's sometimes a little tough to translate, right? But we've seen Patrick Reed win at the Masters. John Ram has some decent odds here. Who of the live golfers are you taking a look at here this week, PJ?
You mentioned one of them, Patrick Reed, I like quite a bit. Bryson DeChambeau would be the other guy that I would look at, Gene. With Patrick Reed, I think a lot of golf fans that follow the sport know this, but for the casual sports fans that tune in for the golf majors, especially the Masters, don't realize that for the most part, year after year, Patrick Reed normally performs really well at Augusta. This is one of the golf courses he plays well at. For college, he went to Augusta State University, right down the road from the golf course. But he won it back in 2018. The last 3 of the last 4 years, he's finished inside the top 10. 2 of the last 3 years, he's finished inside the top 5. He's on the DP World Tour this year. He's going to be back on the PGA Tour in April, so he's not on live right now. He's playing out in Europe. And he's got a win. He's got 2 top 2 finishes. He's got a top 10 finish over the last 3 or 4 months. He's in good form. He's got good course history. And, Gene, the reason I like him and Bryson also is everybody who's on the grounds this week, golfers are talking about it, reporters, they're all talking about how firm and fast Augusta is playing this week. I heard Amanda Balionis talking to Freddie Couples this morning on the practice range, and she was talking about, Freddie Couples was talking about if the round started today with the wind and the way that it's playing, he's not sure how many golfers you would see under par today. So it's going to play really tough. You need golfers with good short games, golfers that can scramble, make pars. Bryson won at Pinehurst with, scrambling and chipping and putting, and Patrick Reed's got a world-class short game. So that's really what I'm putting a priority on this week. Obviously, you want guys that can drive it long and straight, iron players, all those sorts of things. But scrambling, I think, is going to be so key because with the weather supposed to be great this week, it's not supposed to rain. It's going to be firm and fast the entire tournament. And even guys that hit good approach shots with the speed at Augusta, the balls are going to tumble off the green. Got to be able to get up and down. So Bryson and Reed of the live guys, 2 that I would look at.
Yeah, this is also the tournament where, oh, yeah, you won, or it's like you have the lifetime achievement guys. You brought up Freddie Couples, and I'm not touching it. It's a light your money on fire pick, a plus 100,000 I'm looking at that for him or Jose Maria Olazabal. I'm not talking about guys like that. But are there any other quote-unquote long shots here, whether it's somebody like a Wyndham Clark, like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy, or somebody else in the field, PJ, if we just want to have a little bit of fun and roll the dice here on somebody that what you would consider a long shot?
I think Jacob Bridgman would probably be the guy that I would look at. He's anywhere from like the 85 to 1, 90 to 1 range. If you really wanted to, just throw some pizza money on a guy, one of the best putters on tour, Gene. He's in very good form. And I think his game could match up pretty well with Augusta. I believe this is his first time, so he's a debutant, and as most of us know, usually guys that are playing their first time at Augusta tend to not have a lot of success, although you had Ludwig Aubert a couple years ago, was right there in contention, and the way Bridgman has been playing, and again, the way that he putts, and I think with scrambling, putting being so key this week, could give him an edge. So Bridgman would potentially be a guy that I would look at. I'm looking to see if there's anybody else down the board. That would probably be the farthest that I go. Every once in a while, you get your Charles Schwartzels, your Danny Willits, those kind of guys at Augusta, but more often than not, Gene, with experience and the caliber of player that you have to be to win at this course, it's tough to, win like a 70, 80, 100 to 1 at the Masters.
Yeah, Jacob Bridgman, 26, has yet to make a cut in a major here. It didn't go overseas, so that's certainly a great name. PJ, have you ever been to Augusta National?
I have. I went to a practice round, Gene, in the year Tiger won in 2019. So I had a friend from college that was living in Augusta, and I said, I'm coming to see you. I just give me the couch, let me come see you. And we made it work. I went out there and scalped some tickets for the practice round, and it's as everybody says it is, Gene. It's pretty incredible place. Have you ever been?
No. I mean, I enter the lottery every year, and
Yeah,
everything
same.
I read now, scalping, it's not a thing anymore. They will track you down. They could. You get stories now, PJ. You're lucky that you could purchase that ticket, and by rule, no, we don't have to let you in. That's Augusta National.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I know. Because as I was saying, I went in 2019, and I know those rules have been put in place here over the last few years. So I probably got in right at kind of the end of able to do that. What's nice is that if you go for the practice round, you're able to bring in a disposable camera so you can take pictures. No phones at any point, whether you go for a practice or a regular round. But if you go for a regular round, they don't let you bring in any type of camera whatsoever. But if you ever did go to a practice round, now again, I was there 6-7 years ago. I don't know if that's changed. I don't think it has. But that is one of the perks. If you're able to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you can bring a disposable camera and at least take some pictures. So it's not all just, photo memory of your time there.
Yeah, the one thing I've heard is that it doesn't come across on TV all that well, that actually walking the course there, PJ, can be quite hilly.
So hilly, Gene. It's one of the big 100%. Yeah, especially some of those par threes, like number 6, which is that par 3 all the way down the hill. You don't realize how steep that drop off is. Some of these par 4s, the approach shots. So you're so right. And when I was there, and you're talking to some of the ushers and some of the staff that's on the courses, they always talk about people that are going for the first time, make that comment to them man, I didn't realize how much slope was on this 3rd hole, or I didn't realize how, hilly this 7th hole or whatever it may be. So yeah, I mean, TV does not do it justice. It's a very hilly, difficult course to walk. And also what's cool, Gene, is you don't realize some of the holes that are next to each other. I never realized that the 6th green was right next to the 16th green. So it's things like that too, where, certain holes obviously that are out of place around the course, when you go, you kind of see what places on the course you can watch multiple tee shots or multiple approach shots, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, if you ever had the question what is the one venue in any sport you would want to go? Some people might say Fenway Park, maybe it's Lambeau. To me, it would be Augusta National. I just would love to kind of take that in. PJ Glasser, our guest here in the Sports Bar, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. PJ, your Orioles right now in Chicago, where they've kind of all the start times here, they moved them up, right, because it's frigid out there. Some of these games coming up here, too. Any plays you like in baseball, or a general thought here is, hey, now we're a couple weeks into the season?
Yeah, we got obviously the World Series rematch with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. LA's gotten the best of them so far in the series. Ohtani versus Cease today. That game starts in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Should be a great pitching matchup. I like the under 7.5. Day game, getaway game for the Dodgers. Ohtani on the mound, Cease on the mound, is very familiar with that Dodgers lineup, pitching for San Diego the last few years. So I think under 7.5 is a good look there. And I would look at the Giants on the money line today against Philadelphia. It's been a tough start for the Giants up to this point. I think they only got 1 or 2 wins at home this year. But I think they could get the better of Aaron Nola and the Phillies today. So the Giants plus 115 on the money line against the Phillies. I like that as well.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good start for their manager. I don't know if you've read any of that, but Tony Vitello apparently came in heavy-handed, and with professionals that doesn't kind of go over that well. So that experiment of hiring somebody right from college, never done before. Giants 3:45 Eastern against Philadelphia. PJ, maybe we get you up here for a Sabre playoff game. What do you think, bud?
Ooh, how fired up is the city, Gene? I mean, it's obviously been a long time. People thought about what it would be like when they made the playoffs again, but is it exceeding your expectations, or is it kind of like what you expected now that people know that they're going to the playoffs?
Well, it's I think this is what makes it so fun is after all these years, and it was looking like another year, you go back to December 9th, this team was in last place of the conference, PJ. And you're like, okay, here we go again. And, you win a few games. And, honestly, you get to the holidays, it's like, okay, that's nice. We've been here, done that. And then something in January kind of clicked for all of us, and maybe it was the Bill season ending. This team's not so bad. Actually, and it's one of those rare things. This is, we ask our Sabre experts here, too. When do you have a team that goes from 0 to 60? Normally, the path would be, hey, we finally made the playoffs. We squeak in as a wild card here. But the Sabres right now, they could win the whole division. They're a legit cup contender here, PJ.
They absolutely are. And look, I know a lot of your viewers and your listeners know this, but Stanley Cup playoffs is so good, and the fact that they'll be able to watch their team compete and be in it is going to be a lot of fun. And, Gene, not only that, I mean, obviously Florida's going to be out. So the two-time defending champs who've run the East the last few years, they've been out. It kind of feels like the AFC to an extent from, this past year with the Chiefs being out. And it's like, well, if the Chiefs aren't going to win it, then who is going to win it? So with the Panthers out, it's only going to add to the excitement. And since it looks like my Caps are going to be out as well, I'll definitely be pulling for Buffalo.
I just got a tweet from a listener, Brian, and old habits are hard to break. Gene, you just said John Ram. It's John Rahm, but that's the Rochester accent coming out when it was talking about the live golfers. And PJ, you too. I mean, who's one of the top favorites there? Bryson
DeChambeau.
PJ, tell everybody about Game Day Garage and where if they want more of your content, certainly we recommend checking out PJ's work there.
Yeah, Gene, people can check me out, Game Day Garage, like you were saying, building a new podcast. It's going really well. Twitch, YouTube, on X as well. I won't be doing it, but we'll have some live content and stuff going on for the Masters, which will be a lot of fun. I'll be on Westwood Sports here with Pat Boyle doing BetMGM tonight next week, so that'll be a lot of fun. And then you can follow me on X at PJ Glasser 9 as well. Excited for the Masters tomorrow, Gene.
We are still carrying BetMGM tonight, so oh my gosh, PJ. Our listeners would never call in and crank call you, but they can certainly, catch you next week. We were looking forward to that, bud. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
PJ,
appreciate it, Gene. Thanks for having me.
Let's do it again next week. Thanks, PJ. PJ Glasser, your host, Game Gear Garage, doing a lot of good content out there. I cannot believe I fell into that. John Rahm.
I say names wrong on purpose, I think. Just because I'm stubborn.
Well, if you're a longtime Rochesterian, Bob Matthews did this for 30-plus years? I don't know. Long time, right? But he would screw up names all the time. And I'd be screaming at the radio. It's Bud Selig. Not Bud Selig. Selig. And I have this mental block with John Rahm. I don't know what it is.
Once you read it the way that the first time you see it is the way that you think it, and it's tough to change off of that.
Yeah, it's tough to change off. But, hey, we're all about accountability here in the Sports Bar, so thank you, Brian, for holding us accountable. Appreciate that. Last call is coming up. Your chance to join us at 585-866-4326 here at the Sports Bar in WGR Rochester.
Talking the Flower City, the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
You know, when we have guests on the show, one thing I don't want to have great conversations, but I never want to have a gotcha question. Like that, I think there's kind of a difference, right? Welcome back. And I think Adam Schefter today got a gotcha question because when you're doing these appearances, they're not lined up like the day of, and they're lined up well in advance. So Adam Schefter goes on 95.7 The Fanatic in Boston today, right? And, well, I would think that's a story in Boston, like, oh, there's our head coach with a reporter from the New York Times. And the show host asked Schefter about it. And Schefter, in the moment, I think gives you kind of a good story. I can't play you the audio, but I'll read you the transcript. Not my story. Didn't report on it. Saw it like everybody else did. I don't know what's right. Don't know what's wrong. I feel bad for the families involved. It's unfortunate. He goes on to say, I know both individuals. My first thought would be for their families and for the people involved. I just wish everybody the hope and the best and everything kind of works out. And like, yeah, that would be the thing. And if you haven't seen, we talked about this in hour number 1. Mike Vrabel, and these are photos that kind of don't look well for two married couples, two people that are married, I should say, to other people. And personal lives are personal. We get that. But you are a public figure as an NFL head coach. But as a journalist, where you have to be held to a higher standard if you're Diana Rossini. She has to know this, right? How bad this looks. I mean, she can never report on the Patriots again because, well, look, like, how did you get that story? And I feel bad for female journalists that have to fight this all the time. The crap you get online. And here's somebody that, hey, whether it's right or wrong, but this is how it's coming off. And, if we had Schefter on today, I would not ask him about that. I just want to kind of get that out there. I can ask him anytime about that.
You can ask me anything.
I figured as much. Dan Bates was on the show today. He was fantastic as always. Very proud of his manager, Walt Weiss, who tackles Jorge Soler, former Brave, by the way, who somehow had the genius idea to charge the mound. And I picture Walt Weiss as that toothpick middle infielder from the Oakland A's back in the Canseco era. Well, that guy bulked up over the years. Now he's the manager of the Braves, and just a textbook tackle. And it could be one of those things that galvanizes. You're a Braves fan. You're kind of walking around a little bit of strut today. Yeah, you should be very proud that you have a manager that actually did that.
One thing that we didn't touch on is Soler got punched in the face with a baseball. The baseball was in Lopez's hand still when he threw the punch, and it didn't knock him down. Like that was a fun fight at the beginning of baseball season.
Well, it's
something I did not expect.
It's like Angels and Braves.
Right.
You face each other once a year. Like in Anaheim, people are probably like, it's Tuesday night. What are we doing here? So Dan Bates was in he was in hour number 1. PJ Glasser just last segment was fantastic as always. If you want a little Masters talk, hey, now we're going to be paying attention. I never heard of Jacob Bridgman, but Jacob Bridgman out of Clemson, one of the top goals. He was the ACC Golfer of the Year at one point. That's a long shot. First Masters tournament, and PJ says at 8-1, to use the PJ words, pizza money.
Just put him into my Masters pool.
Yeah,
I hope I win.
Your Masters pool. I don't think we should share on the air, but you're in a Masters pool with a professional athlete.
Yeah, an LA Kings player. I won't say the name, but I hope I take his money.
I don't even know. What is the betting policy in the NHL?
I don't know. I guess
I don't know.
Find out.
You're like, how could you really know if somebody's not using a fake name? And you explained to me the connection. I'm like, oh, yeah, that would check out.
That is him.
Tomorrow on the show, you hear him mornings here on WGR Rochester. Joe DiBiase doing some great work breaking down the Sabres over the years. We'll talk some Sabres and NFL draft with Joe. If you missed any of today's show, download the Odyssey app and go back and listen for the full 2 hours. Or maybe you just thought this show was so great, you know what, I want to listen to it again. By all means, we encourage that. If you want to just listen to one of the interviews, Dan DeLorean has it all in bite-sized form. Wherever you get your fine audio and podcast, it is up for you. Special thanks to Tim Schneider. Thanks to Dan Drummy. Show Up in the Bulldog coming your way next. My name is Gene Battaglia here on Rochester Sports Leader, WGR Rochester.